Let me begin by saying that I certainly recognize the intent behind Bill C-518. The whole question of public officials breaking the law and the public trust is something that the Canadians have completely lost patience with, and they expect government to do something about that. Unfortunately, the intention of Bill C-518 is, in that regard, just simply does not quite meet the standard that I think the sponsor of the bill might have expected that it would. Let me say to you that, Mr. Speaker, in Nova Scotia, as a result of a spending scandal back in 2010, have introduced a similar bill that in fact goes further and deals with a couple of the issues that we have actually raised before in both committee and in here in debate. One in particular is the whole question of retroactivity, to make sure that MPs and senators are not able to just duck out at a period of time and feel that they're going to be okay, even though it's pretty clear, and whether the conviction has gone through or not, that they have in fact broken the law and the public trust. There are other parts of the bill as it regards to, for example, in Nova Scotia, what they were able to do was to ensure that in the case of a former spouse or spouse of the public official, that they would be entitled to the amount of the pension that they would normally have been entitled to, and likewise the government still had the right to garnishee if there were amounts owing, that the government would be allowed to garnishee from that pension amounts that in fact it was entitled to. Two extremely important provisions, I think you would agree, Mr. Speaker, as it relates to the whole question of balance and fairness. There's no doubt that I'm hearing from constituents of mine in Dartmouth-Cole Harbour that they've seen the province of Nova Scotia move forward in this regard and put an end to public officials breaking the law and breaking public trust and being able to continue to benefit from pensions and other entitlements that they may have enjoyed as a result of holding that particular office. That government, in fact, moved on that and were successful in that. And the people of Dartmouth-Cole Harbour have said to me that they applaud the intention of this bill, and they want to see it go through. They want to see us move forward in this area, and we have had some discussions about the concerns we have with this bill. We want to see a law like this passed, but we are concerned about the weaknesses that we have already identified, and we have presented a couple of motions, and a couple of amendments to the bill, and we say to the government that if you are serious, if you are truly serious about making sure that this legislation does what it says it'll do, and there are two particular problems. One is that they basically wrote out that former MP Dean Delmeister would have been covered by this legislation. They wrote out the bill so that he would in fact be absolved, that they wouldn't be able to touch him. That's wrong, Mr. Speaker. I think Canadians recognize that's in fact that should not be the case. The second thing is Mr. Speaker, that this bill, rather than setting the terms of what should be required, the government has listed a number of different laws which needs to be broken. So they're kind of cherry picking what it is that specifically what law needs to be broken in order for this bill to apply, and they've exempted such legislation as the Elections Act specifically. And what we've said, Mr. Speaker, in our motion, to make it very clear, and experts have said to us that it's wrong for the government to be picking and choosing the laws, that we need to make sure that the provision in this is sufficiently clear that it deals with the issue of breaking the law and breaking public trust. So the amendment is really important, where it says ceases or has ceased to be a member and who, on or after the day on which this subsection comes into force, is either convicted of an offence under the criminal code mentioned subsection, or sentenced to a term of imprisonment of 5 years or more for an offence under any act of Parliament, if the offence arose out of conduct that in the whole or in part occurred while the person was a member. Mr. Speaker, any act of Parliament. So this idea that you can break the Elections Act, like former MP Dean DeMestro did, and you can get away with it, clearly is what I've heard from my constituents. It just does not make sense. And if we're serious about bringing in laws that will end this practice and that will, in fact, hold officials accountable for doing this, then we need to, in fact, deal with that. And the second thing is the whole question of retroactivity, Mr. Speaker, and we're suggesting that we add in the following: ceases or has ceased to be a member, and who, on or after the day on which this subsection comes into force, is either convicted of an offence under the criminal code mentioned in subsection 19 sub 4, or sentenced to a term of imprisonment of 5 years or more for an offence under any act of Parliament, any other act of Parliament, if the offence arose out of the conduct that in the whole or in part occurred while the person was a member, Mr. Speaker. So my message to the government is this: people of Dartmouth-Cole Harbour support the intention of Bill C-518. But they're saying, let's not pretend. Let's not agree to accept legislation that pretends to do something, but really then doesn't. That in fact excuses some members of the government benches, for example, or the Senate, at the same time that they're trying to say that they're going to deal with the whole question of ethics and integrity in government and holding people to account. If that's what the intention is, then we're suggesting to government members, and I've indicated this to my constituents, that if the government recognizes this principle and recognizes our amendments to this bill, then maybe we're going to be at some point where we're going to be able to pass a bill that actually does what, in fact, it sets out to do. Mr. Speaker, that's the message that my constituents have asked me to bring here to this House. I hope the government is listening. I hope we can do something to actually make this bill work, to hold public office holders accountable who have broken the law and broken the public trust. Thank you.